Right, now I've got it down on one side, approximately, shift the bolt. I'm going to lose this side to be honest, but I'm still going to do this as a demonstration. Well then I might try carving, get rid of that piece, and I'll slope the bolt. So that bolt, this is another rough turn one that I do a while ago, poplar. So the bowl will be very flat at one end and like an armchair bowl or something like that. But yeah, obviously while that split's there, the split's going in that direction, that's got to be a shape. Because it's going in that direction, I've got tailstock support. I don't mind it so much. If it's going that way, I'd chop this plank up into spindles. So now I've done that side, I need to rotate it. And tailstock, tool rest that. I say tailstock, don't I? The tool rest, get that out of the way, get the shape of it. You just turn it round. Oh, that's another point as well. When you've got the drive shaft or the tailstock, if you've got bark there, the other side I didn't have any bark. But this side you need to chip away the bark so it's not so you haven't got loose bark there, it's a solid contact point. Yeah, unfortunately I think I'm going to get one proper bolt. A character bolt. So rest back here. Let's look at that right. Actually I'll put it lower. I'm putting it lower because the tool handle's down at about 45 degrees, so the point of contact, the tip of the bolt gouge is going to be approximately in the centre axis anyway. Right, turn it back on. Level. It's not where it was before. Still not hard. I'll worry about that bit later. Now the idea now is to part it off. Make sure you've got a more sturdier parting tool than that. This is the only parting tool that I've got. So I'm going to sharpen this up, very careful. I'm not going all the way in anyway. No, it's only about the maximum that I'm going to be going in, so I'm not parting the tool like that. But like I say, you're not parting like usual, you're not doing a very thin part. You're parting off all that section there, so you've got a lot of area. You're not going to get a bind up, unless you're ridiculous and you jam in. The whole idea is, obviously, you've got the flat, but you've also got these edges that scrape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in, say, a tiny little bit, and then pull to the side. A tiny bit, pull to the side. And when you pull to the side, that side edge scrapes it. So you're not constantly going like this, because going like that, you're just going to shred it all up. It's going to fill up with chippings. You're not going to be able to see where you are properly. So when you're going in a slight amount and then pulling to the side, you'll see all the chippings get pulled to the side, and all of a sudden they'll flip out. So I'm going to finish this cigarette off and then get on with that. Alright, here we go. Tool resting as far as back to the go. Turn it the right way. Just go up a tiny bit. Right, now I've finally done that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get a saw now. You also need a spindle lock, so it's not just going to rotate when you're trying to cut it. The whole idea is try to get it as straight as possible. So when you put the face plate on, you want the face plate to be straight on the actual blanket itself. Now, if you don't get it absolutely straight, you can always just chisel it anyway. Get a hand chisel and hammer, and just plane it, make it flat. My skills, the chance of getting this flat is pretty slim. About over 3/4 of the way through, so you can take it off now. It's like a misshapen Death Star, isn't it? Give it a twist or a pull, and that's it. You've got the 2 bulb lengths. What I'm going to do is, I haven't got that straight. And the face plate. flatten that off a little bit. The whole idea is now you mount your face plate and then you turn it how you would do a normal bolt. If you go in to do a cove, you obviously don't want to go too far to the tenon, otherwise you've got to square off that, just right there, that again, where your jaws contact the bottom of the base. Then you turn it this way. Stick right through. Speed it up there. The speed put that I prefer, if I can get away with it, is about 800 to 900 RPM with the bolt gouge. Gouge. What else I like to do, just square off the front. Turn it round. Right, what I'll do is when I put the tenon on, I'll leave the faceplate on temporarily. If you take the faceplate off and there's a problem with the tenon, so you cut it too thin or too wide, you've got to then got to put the faceplate back on, and then it's not going to be square it. You're going to have to go around the outside again. So what I prefer to do is get the tenon, get the chuck on first, load it up, and then take the faceplate off. What I do with this is open it up. Notice because it's wet wood, you'll get quite a few whiskers and bits of fur, and they'll affect the actual trueness of the chuck. Right, so what I'll do is I'll tighten it and then just loosen it off just that tiny little bit, and I'll force down and twist, and what that does is the actual jaws themselves take off any of the whiskers. And as you do that, you also flatten them down. You might have to tighten the chuck up a few times. The whole idea is you keep doing that until you get to the point where you tighten it and you can't turn it no more. Chuck up and load it up and tighten it again. Hopefully that should be running true. No, my look, it probably isn't. See, that's remarkably true. The wet wood, to be honest. Right, I'm very sorry if you can hear a buzz. Yesterday I was doing a video and I was charging while recording and there was a buzz, so I've changed the charger cable. Hopefully there isn't one, but if there is, I do apologise. I've slowed it down to about 450, something like that, so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Also it stops the lathe from wobbling so much. There's a tiny little bit of wobble, it wobbles the camera, so hopefully it's a stable picture for you. Just going to set it off. Hopefully I'm not going to be aiming chippings at your face. In fact, I will speed it up a little bit. Most of this stuff you'll have seen from other videos, so what I'll do is I'll speed it up a little bit, and then when I come to the stuff that's specific to me, what I do, or other people might do it, I'm not sure, but I'll slow it down for you. In fact, I haven't seen anyone do this before, probably a good reason why. This one I'm going to do now. I'm going to core out the middle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go like a shear scrape, so the actual flute is more or less closed. Same again, a standard grind, you don't want to do it like this because the corners are too pronounced. But the whole idea is I only go in far enough and I keep these, even though this is swept back, there are very slight corners, so I'll keep the corners away. What I do is I start from the middle and I'll just draw back. little bit. There's a combination of doing that and then turning the flute round. But obviously not too far over. Not too far over from the tool rest. And it makes it easier to hollow then. I think you're getting coated in chickens, aren't you? Because this is an action camera, it's got a very wide field of view, so you're only that far away. You're only about the length of this chisel away from the actual bolt. Laying the flute up a tiny bit more. Chippings. Right, what I'll do is now I need to measure so I don't go through the bottom. This is more critical when it's dry, but what I want to do is I want to leave about 2 centimetres depth. It's only a fairly shallow bowl. I want to leave approximately 2 centimetres at the bottom, so when I come to chew it up it gives me a little bit more leeway. So what I do is I get a ruler and I put it at the back, right on the foot. Now obviously if you cove it in a little bit at the bottom, you need to allow for that as well. So I'll allow about 5mm more. And what I'll do is I'll get another ruler, I'll just put it from that ruler and just measure how deep the rim is. So the rim as it stands at the moment is 72mm. Because I've coved it, say from the actual base of the tenon to this, it's approximately say 68mm. Then what I'll do is I'll put the ruler on the other side and I'll just measure down the bottom, and that's 45. So I know that I can go quite a bit further in. I can go, I said 68 didn't I? So it's 45, so 10, 20, about 22 mil. what I'm doing here, the flute is more or less straight up in the air. But you've got to watch those corners if you've got standard grind, that they don't hit the rim. The whole idea is you're more or less shear scraping, you're using that long edge. To start the cut. And as you go further down, you need to move the cut further along towards the tip. So you start off on the long edge, and then you're going to be rotating it round, and then when you come towards the nub, you need to stop just before you reach, say about there. The centre's there. Stop about there, and by starting there, and by the time you come round to that section, you need to be going into the nub with a flute fully pointing along the tool rest. The reason why I stopped there, the more you angle across like this, even though you're at the same distance from the tool rest there as what you are there, the angle of the chisel is coming more around like that, so you've got even more hanging over the edge. And you just take the little whiskers off. You could, of course, just move the tool rest, which I'm going to do in a second now. Just like that, and then you should. I've got a tiny little whisker there, but I've got to go down further anyway. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the tool rest in a bit. Also going to rotate this round a little bit more, so the banjo's not sticking too far off the end of the edge of the bedways. Rotate it to make sure you haven't got contact anywhere. Lock everything down, and off we go. I can't, because you're in the way. Once I've done that measure again, right, I'll re-measure that, because that seems like I'm almost there. 72, so 68. Oh my days, 68, 50, 48 I need to be. That's it. It's a good job I stopped. I want 2 centimetres at the bottom, don't I? So I need to hollow in 48, and that's at 49. So I've got 19 millimetres, not 20. Right. So what I need to do is now, because I like that. When I do, oh, that's a bit of my blood. When I do bowls, I prefer to have a nice curve like that. So it's almost like a moon shape. When it's finished, that's going to be a much thinner rim, but it's going to be still a gradual curve there and a still gradual curve round to the actual base itself. So it's like a crescent moon. If you cut it in half, it's a crescent moon shape, rather than keeping the same wall thickness all the way down to the base and then have to flatten off quite sharp. So I've still got some marks here. I'm just going to concentrate round here a little bit to try to get these marks off. Even though it's wet, you go through it up anyway. The less marks there are, and the smoother it is, the easier it is to sort out when it's dry. The easier it is to true up. Now the edge, if I was to do that at 45 degrees to skim across the edge, so what you've got to do is you've got to get the flute about 90 degrees. You've got to get the flute aiming along the tool rest. You're just digging a little bit. Hopefully it don't skim now. And then the tip of the bowl gouge is similar to the very corner of a parting tool. And all you're doing is just basically creating a line. And then once that line is created, you can then turn the bowl gouge around again. It's going to try to skim to the side, but there's too much there's timber there now, so it's not going to be able to. I feel like my skills have left me. That's another thing, you don't have to do this because it's wet, you're going to chew it up anyway, but it's good practice. And judging by how I'm getting this, it looks like I need the practice. Keep on pushing the ridge around. That's it. What I've seen some people do is they actually put a mortise in there, do a channel and then put a mortise in there, so when it comes to chewing up the actual tenon in the bottom, they can put the chuck there with a mortise, expand it in, obviously chew up the tenon slowly, and then just take the chuck off, turn it round the proper way, and put the tenon into the chuck instead. Change the jaws, or change the chuck, mount it on a tenon, and then turn it properly, and then turn that mortise off. I've just thought about that now, and I've cut that a little bit too thin. That's 20mm. If I'd have thought about that, I would have left that at about 25 and made a mortise. But it looks like I'm going to have to do the jam chuck way. But that's the bowl done, ready to dry, and now I'm going to wrap it up. Right, the process that I go through now, I don't bother with the cardboard boxes full of shavings because I haven't got the time. To be honest, to change these shavings, I don't have the space to be saving loads of shavings for the drying process. I've tried the cardboard box before, and after about a week I checked it and it was just green with mould, green and blue and furry. So mould is not good for the lungs. And it's definitely not good for the workshop either, when you go to turn it and mould goes everywhere and then you end up with all mould up the walls and it's a nightmare to get rid of. So personally I prefer this way. Now you might be thinking to yourself, it's plastic, you're going to get mould. With plastic you can see through it. And if you start getting problems, you can always take the wrap off and re-wrap it again. So just jam the wrap in there. The whole idea of this is just to wrap it around the front for now, just temporarily, so it makes it a bit easier to wrap. Because with it being a compound curve, it's very easy for the wrap just to slip off. That's it. Now go around the rim. Get my big stomach in the way. Stop it rotating. Wrap the rim. Round and round we go. So the whole bowl's covered. What this does is it stops or severely limits the drying on the outside, because when you wet turn, obviously the inside is going to be wetter. So what happens is you need to stabilise it. You need to bring the inside down to about the same moisture content as the outside. But then also another thing that I like to do is I like to leave the wrap on for a while, let the inside dry down to about 20%, then I take the wrap off and let the outside dry. Sounds antiquated, or a little bit, not antiquated, that's the wrong word. It sounds a weird way to do it, but what that does is, it seems to me anyway, I mean I'm not a scientist, but I think with it drying on the inside first, the bowl then contracts on itself, and then you take the wrap off and then the outside dries, and it will want to expand ever so slightly, but nowhere near as much as what it would have done if you'd have just left it bare. Now I've done quite a bit of wet turning between Christmas and New Year's, and I've only had one split on me, so that's, I think it's about 98% success rate, something like that, doing it by this method. You get less warpage, you seem to get less warpage anyway, or I seem to get less, which means it's easier to finish turn. You get less chance of splitting. And as a final measure, put some of these tie wraps around the rim to make sure that the rim doesn't expand at all, or very, very limited, so further reducing the chance of splits. I've got a spindle lock, in. I've got some pliers, or in this case pipe grips. It's the first thing that comes to hand. I'll tighten that down quite a bit. Now with this being a rim, you need it fairly close, with this being a compound curve, You need to get these tie wraps as close to the rim as possible. If you're doing it at the middle, it's just going to slide off and it's going to come off. And then I'll get some cutters. I'll probably find the pliers now. Yeah. Tighten it down a little bit more. I'll just cut them off. Leave a little bit though, because over time, obviously, when this contracts, that's going to come loose. So it's worth having a look at all your wet turnings. If there's any of these that's loose, just nip them up a little bit. And that's it, and then just obviously take it out of the truck. And another very slight thing I do, well, I'll rip that open. Moisture meter. It's a little bit late, I should have done this before I wrapped it. I can check just there. That's 38, well, overload, so that's over 45%. That's overload as well. And I'll get a Sharpie. And on the tenon, I could get to it. I'll put the moisture content. At the moment it's overload, so I'll just put 45 plus. Because that moisture meter, I think the maximum that moisture meter goes up to is 45. And I'll put today's date down, which is the 20th March 2017. And then say 20th to the 4th, I'll go back to it with the moisture meter, check, you know what I mean, to see see how it's drying. I'll just keep my eye on that for mould as well. But that's one bowl done, and now it's to turn the other one. But the other one's got that split on it, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that one yet. That one's got that rather large split, so I think more than likely I'll either bin that, I'll try to do something with it, even make it like a very, very sharp curve. I'll take that down, I'll keep on taking it down until I get to the point where it either disappears or it's small enough to do some carving with it, or turn it into a yarn bowl. So that's what I'm going to do now, but I'll leave that off the video because I don't want to bore you to death with yet another bowl from the same project. This is long enough. So that's me done. Need a shave. I might go in for a shave now. As a bonus, I've done it. I've turned something. I don't know what the hell it's going to be yet, but it might be some kind of tazzer, you know what I mean, or lamp. You know what I mean. It might have a bit of spindle worked onto it. When it's dry, part it off down here, and have a spindle and a foot. Maybe have some kind of like a candle holder. But better to work at something than just to chuck it away, because you never know what's hiding inside a lump of wood. That might turn out quite nice. I quite nice like the figure on it. I think that's alder or alder, however you pronounce it. But, that's fairly thin there. I think I've turned it fairly thin at that point. But if it's going to warp, it's going to warp widthways, so I might be able to get away with that. If not, it's then a binner. But you never know what you get. Never give up on anything unless it's too damn insecure, in which case you can always do with some spindles. Alright, I'll see you later anyway, and have a good one.